This next poem that I'm going to do for you today is a poem that one of my very first poems that I ever wrote, and the name of this poem is My Memory is Broke. Now, before I tell this poem, I have to tell you a little bit of history with it. I started writing the poem and I got a couple stanzas going, and then I went to my mom and I read her some of what I'd read, and she added. And then I went to a close friend and he added, and I went to my wife and she added. And so really this poem was brought about by people giving ideas. They didn't write the actual stanza on the poem, but they gave me the idea for the next stanza. So here we go. My memory is broke. And then underneath that, in parentheses, it says, I tried to think, but nothing happened. My forgetter's getting better, and my memory is broke. And to you, this might be funny, but to me, it's not a joke. When I'm here, I'm wondering if I should be over there. And when I try to think things through, it gives me quite a scare. I sometimes see a friend of mine. We stop and have a chat. And when they walk away from me, I wonder, who was that? And when I walk into a room, I wonder why I'm there. I rack my brain. It's all in vain. It leaves me in despair. And when it comes to gossiping, it's never any fun. You can't recall who done it, nor remember what was done. I often put things on the shelf where they are safe and sound, and I'm the one they're safest from. They seldom can be found. When sitting at the table, it is more than I can stand. I say, please pass the pepper, while I've got it in my hand. And when it comes to medicine, I'm never really sure. Did I take the pill I should have took? Or did I take the one before? And when I go to use the phone, I can dial numbers filed, and often when I hear the ring, I wonder who I dialed. I know I've lost my memory. I just stand and stare. Right there in my own home, there's strangers everywhere. I have a list of all my friends, and I sat it down somewhere. And if I could only find the list, I'm sure I'd find you there. When looking for my glasses, my memory has fled. I'll walk around for hours just to find them on my head. I'm getting really good at playing hide and seek, and I can hide most anything and not find it for a week. And the only comfort I can find while traveling around is my car knows its way back home. And I know I will be found. And I know there's lots of other things my memory cannot find. I would include them in my poem if I could bring them back to mind. And when I think of my poor dog, I know she must be fed. I never can remember her until I'm lying in my bed. And since I'm diabetic, before I take my shot, I have to stop and check my blood to see if I did or not. Yep, my forgetter's getting better, and my memory is broke. It is driving me plumb crazy, which to me is not a joke. All my poems are copyrighted. This poem revised and remembered by Marvin Cooke, with special thanks to Roberta, Jeffrey, Muriel, Shar, Willard, Alvin, Whit, Greg, Aunt Marie, Aunt Marina, Aunt Virginia, and all the other people I can't remember. So I forgot to put on here Lawrence, because I have a really close friend, his last name is Lawrence, and he's the one that told me to do one about walking around with your glasses looking for them and not being able to find them finding them on his head. He said it actually happened to him. My mom, who we called Aunt Verena because for a reason she was called Aunt Verena. She gave me the one about gossiping. She said it's not fun to gossip anymore, and you can't even remember what was done. You can't remember what was happening. She's getting along in years. God bless her soul, and she's passed away here not very long ago, and may she rest in peace. Um, my best friend Jeffrey told me the one about the salt, the pepper shaker, and saying, "Please pass the pepper while you have it in your hand." Um, I think the other ones I made up. I don't see any other ones here that somebody else told. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this poem. Thank you. Now this next poem that I'm going to do for you, since I'm doing 2 poems on each time I do a video here on YouTube, I thought I would do one today. It's kind of a short poem, but it's for a young girl well, I should say a young lady because she's 22 years old at the time. She came to me and she heard that I knew how to do poetry, and we were considering helping her out. She is unmarried and had a baby, and she was trying to raise that child alone, and through our nonprofit organization we were thinking about helping her. And so we were talking with her one day, me and one of my colleagues. I always have a woman with me when I'm talking with another woman in Repair, Neglect, and Abuse Foundation, so whoever we're talking to will feel comfortable. And so we're talking with her, and she said, "Would you write me a poem?" And I said, "Well, do you have a subject that you want me to talk about?" And she said, "No, not really. I just want you to write me a poem." Well, I knew that because we were interviewing her, we knew that she had just come out of the FLDS religion. And I should say the FLDS cult. And I said, "Yeah, I'll write you a poem." And so that night I went home, and a lot of times I just have in my mind that I'm going to write a poem, but I woke up like at 10 o'clock I'd gone to sleep, and I'd only been asleep for 2 hours. I woke up at 10 o'clock in the evening, and this poem just came to my mind. The name of the poem is "In a Cult." I was in a cult, and I had to bolt. I felt just like a little colt who had discovered she can run. I no longer count on anyone. I can now question everything, especially what you can bring. I never ever have to pay. You'll never tell me what to say. No one has such power over me to decide what I want to be or what I'm supposed to say. I demand freedom every day. You have no power, you will see. So I decree that I am free. Now, when I gave this young lady this poem, I got it in a really nice frame, fairly expensive frame, and I put it in that frame and gave it to her, and she started crying. She literally cried her eyes out, and I think that this poem gave her a release, because crying sometimes when you're in a really high pressure or have been really damaged, sometimes crying is the very thing you need to do. Because she started crying, which, you don't ever like to see anybody cry, but at the same time it was what gave her a release. So I was glad that I was able to do that for her. And now I want to share with you another thing that happened just today. I was on the phone with another really close friend named Bev, and we were talking, and she told me about this clairvoyant, this woman who works with her and is clairvoyant, and she actually paid the lady to give her some advice, and she went ahead while she had been paying this lady. She went ahead and just did a decision without going back to this woman for some advice, and this woman went off on her, like, you shouldn't have made that decision without coming and consulting with me. You know, you're paying me. And I just told her, well, that reminds me a lot of the Warren Jeffs and the cult. You know, you have to consult me because I'm the one who can talk to God, and you have to believe me. And so I sent this poem to Bev, and I said, hey, maybe she just needs to hear this. You know, I had an experience where somebody told me, you know, you're going to become wealthy, but if you don't come back to me and ask what to do with that wealth, then I'll take it away from you. And after I thought about it for a little while, then I went back to her and I told her, well, she told me, she said, God told me to tell you this, that if you don't come to me for the advice on what to do with that money, then he'll take it away. So I went back to her the next day, I actually thought about it for about a half a year. And finally I went back to her and I told her, well, my God told me to tell your God to F off. I'm not going to say the word, but everybody knows what that means. Anyway, so that's exactly what I'm saying here. You know, you have my permission. My audience has my permission. If you've got somebody who's trying to control your life or anything, you have my permission to get this poem. And, you know, please say poem by Marvin R. Cooke Sr. at the bottom of it. But you're welcome. I'll give you the welcome to go and copy this poem, and if you want to contact me, I'll literally send you a copy of it free. If you have somebody you need to say, I decree I am free. I'm not buying your crap. I am free from this decision. I have nothing to do with that. Then you're welcome to use my poem. And I thank you for listening. God bless. Please subscribe, and also send this to some people. You know, you never know who's going to be helped with this one right here. So send it out to a friend. Do them a favor too. Thank you.